as with our list of fictional planets, we know that there are dozens of fictional countries that DC has made over the years. But we'll only be exploring those we feel are integral to understanding the DC universe. First on our list is Themyscira, originally known as Paradise Island. This island nation is home to Wonder Woman and the Amazons. The origin of this island was revamped a couple times, along with the mythology surrounding Wonder Woman. But simply put, Themyscira was a secret island tied to the gods of Greek mythology and completely inhabited by women. That's right, no boys allowed. In fact, no man had stepped foot on the island until Steve Trevor, a U.S. Army intelligence officer and Wonder Woman's future love interest, crash-landed there during World War II. At least within the Golden Age storylines, that is. Anyway, though Wonder Woman and the Amazons are seen as great warriors, Themyscira was a place where peace prevailed, at least among its inhabitants, as a sort of allegory where women would thrive away from the hostile, male-dominated world. Themyscira also had its foil in the island Thalarion, home to a race of male warriors, the Gagarians. Following Themyscira's format, but just in reverse, this island was a complete boys' club, and only men were allowed to set foot on the island. Well, they did make an exception for the goddess Athena, but then again, wouldn't you? Along with Themyscira and Thalarion, DC has a history of creating fictional island nations to suit their stories and characters. So let's take a look at these. First, let's start with Starfish Island, where in the comics Oliver Queen was stranded before becoming the vigilante Green Arrow. It was here where he honed his skills with a bow and arrow that made him the world-class archer he is today. But why Green Arrow? Well, Oliver's time on the island also has an answer for that. During his time on the island, Oliver needed to camouflage himself. So using the green foliage around him, he fashioned clothes so he might hide and survive. Kind of a shame they didn't put that little tidbit in CW's Arrow. Speaking of Arrow, for those of you more familiar with that incarnation of the character, you will realize that the island was changed from Starfish Island to the much cooler sounding Lian Yu, which is believed to be somewhere in the South China Sea. Also mentioned in Arrow is the island of Corto Maltese, the often war-torn country off the coast of South America. While little is known about the island itself, like Where's Waldo, it seems to keep popping up, having been referred to several times in the TV show Smallville, Frank Miller's comic The Dark Knight Returns, and Tim Burton's 1989 Batman film. The island of Kooey, along with having a ridiculous-sounding name, has the distinction of being a sentient creature capable of moving around, similar to the planet Mogo and Marvel Comics' own sentient island, Krakoa, though this concept was never really explored, unfortunately. Moving on to the Caribbean Isles, we will find the small nation of Santa Prisca. This Cuba-esque nation is home to one of the most notorious Batman villains of the past 2 decades, Bane. Orphaned as a young boy and imprisoned by tyrants, Bane became a lab rat for those in power, and became one of the first users of the super muscle enhancer known as Venom. He would later rise to freedom and criminal power by being known as the man who broke the Batman's back. And finally, we have Dinosaur Island, which has had 2 incarnations. The first being an amusement park, similar to Jurassic Park, but populated with robotic yet realistic dinosaurs. While the second incarnation, as you might guess, is populated by living dinosaurs. However, these creatures were much bigger than their real-life counterparts, adding to the level of danger they presented, because, apparently regular dinosaurs are so last season. Dinosaurs aside, let's move on to the mainland and the continent of Europe. Here you will find such countries as Markovia. Wedged between Belgium, France, and Luxembourg, this country is home to the heroes Geoforce and the Teen Titan Terra. These 2 siblings are members of the royal family there, though they have had to deal with quite a bit in order to keep their country intact. Over the years, Markovia has seen its fair share of unrest, having been invaded by Nazis, Russians, and even vampires. Looking further north, you will find Kasnia, a country in the Balkans tormented by civil war and featured in the TV show Arrow during an episode highlighting the Suicide Squad. The country makes several appearances in the DC animated universe, during episodes in the Justice League, Batman Beyond, Superman the Animated Series, and the animated Batman movie, Mystery of the Batwoman. Meanwhile, the nation of Pokolistan is a former Soviet republic, once ruled by Kryptonian supervillain General Zod. Now, despite the tyranny brought by Zod's rule, this small nation was also very safe and prosperous, due to their access to Kryptonian technology. But, strangely enough, it seems that Pokolistan is in the exact same place and takes up the exact same amount of space as the nation of Modora, another fictional country, home of the Green Lantern supervillain Sonar. So what exactly does this mean? Unfortunately, we don't know. Our best guess is that perhaps Zod took over Modora and renamed it, making the two places one and the same. And last of the purely European countries is the fallen kingdom of Vlatava. Members of the royal family there included Werner Vertigo, better known as the villain Count Vertigo. However, the Count is now the last surviving member of the royal family, as the powerful being known as the Spectre completely destroyed Vlatava, having deemed the country unsavable. In our next section, we will move on to the Middle East, as well as the sunken kingdom of Atlantis, as we wrap up our exploration of the fictional countries and kingdoms DC has created to tell these amazing stories.